Good evening. It's March 4th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. And this is the Borough of Oradell Planning Board regular meeting for March. Mr. Depkin, may I have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Hines is here. Councilman Carnaval.
Here.
Mayor Koth.
Here.
Mr. Scalcione.
Here.
Mr. Darian.
Here.
And Mr. Fleggy.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the approval of the planning board minutes from the February 4th, 2025 meeting. Any comments, any questions? Take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to committee reports, subdivision, site drainage, and soil moving. Mr. Carnaval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First order of business is a resolution, calendar number 158-24, Murphy, 798 East Drive. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the resolution?
No.
I have one minor. Mr. Giblin, on page 3, under testimony and evidence, item number 1, it says the subject property consists of, I think you meant to include the total square footage of the existing property, which is 37,125. It lists the 15,290 figure.
For the one lot, okay.
Yep.
What number was that, Chairman?
Item number 1 on page 3 under testimony and evidence.
Make that correction.
So if nobody has any questions or changes other than what I just communicated, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution for calendar number 158-24 Murphy, 798 East Drive.
Second.
Steve, can you take a vote, please? Or roll call, excuse me.
Mr. Snyder.
Yes.
Mr. Hines.
Yes.
Councilman Carnaval.
Yes.
Mayor Koth.
Yes.
Mr. Scalcione.
Yes.
Mr. Darian.
Yes.
Mr. Fleggy.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next orders of business is an application, calendar number S-161, Pension LLC, multiple properties on Kindercamack Road and Beverly Road. I'd ask the applicant to come on up.
Hello, Greg Casabona, Pension LLC.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm any testimony given this matter to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you state your name again, please, and spell your last name?
Gregory A. Casabona, C-A-S-A-B-O-N-A, and I'm a licensed site remediation professional with Pension LLC.
We will accept.
Accept you as an expert witness.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, have a seat. So if you'd like to give an overview of the project, we'll start from there.
Okay, sure. So we have 3 residential properties and 1 commercial property, one on 66 Kindercamack Road, which is the source of the contamination we're going to be remediating, and the 3 adjacent properties behind that, 66, 70, and 74 Beverly Road. The contamination we are talking about polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, which were released onto the property and through drainage made its way onto the adjacent properties. We have plans that were submitted to both the NJDEP and the Environmental Protection Agency. We have what's called a self-implementing plan that was submitted to the EPA and approved, which will allow us to conduct remediation on the commercial property. That is going to involve capping, and it's going to have an institutional and an engineering control. So it's going to be, it's about 7,000 square feet. It's going to be capped with about 12 inches of impermeable clay. So it's going to have an impermeable cap, and then it's going to have a deed notice, and then it will subsequently have what is called a remedial action permit through the NJDEP. PCBs are kind of unique. They're regulated both federally and by the state. So that's why I have an approval through the state, and we do have documentation before the NJDEP. The NJDEP doesn't approve any work plans. Everything gets approved through me as the LSRP, Licensed Site Remediation Professional. I don't know if you gentlemen are aware, but back in 2009, they created this LSRP program, which basically privatized the remediation of sites. Still gets done in accordance with all applicable rules, regulations, and guidance. It's just that I, as an LSRP, I'm one of about 800 that are licensed in the state to certify the remediation. At the end of this, I will be issuing something called a Response Action Outcome, an RAO. It's equivalent to an NJDEP no further action letter. They don't write those any longer, only in rare instances. So at the end of this effort, there will be a response action outcome letter that will be issued. It'll be given to the mayor, health department, and to the property owners.
Thank you. We'll open up to questions or comments from our professionals. Dave?
Sure. I guess just to put it on the record, I don't know, did you indicate the total volume of soil that's going to be removed?
Yeah, well,
Why don't we just do it as a combined for the total site?
yeah, that's
For all four properties?
well, there's not going to be anything removed from 66 Kinderkamak. It's already been removed.
Okay.
All that's going to involve there is capping. So the three sites behind there, there's going to be a total of about 150 yards removed. It's not a lot. So the three residential properties, and just to give a little background, so the three residential properties are going to be remediated to unrestricted use standards. Everything's coming out and going to be replaced with certified clean fill, and the properties are going to be completely restored. So those properties are going to be remediated to clean and restored in kind. The commercial property will have a cap, and it's going to have an engineering control, as I alluded to before. I know that the property owner has plans of at some point in time selling the property, and something will become of it. But it will have a response action outcome, and it will be remediated in accordance with all applicable rules, regulations, and guidance. So 150 yards.
Okay, so I guess that's a little bit different than what was submitted in the application itself, because based on...
Oh, you know something? It's soil coming on and off, right? Double that. It's 300 then. You're right. 150 coming out.
Okay, because I mean, so what we had, so for 66 Kinderkamak, it did note that there was soil coming off, I thought, or is that soil coming
Yep,
in?
17 yards.
That's it?
Yep.
The number I have is 213 for that one.
Yards or tons? Well,
I have it noted here as cubic yards.
no, it's 17 coming out.
Is that what the clay is coming in?
Oh, that's, oh, I'm sorry, Kinderkamak. I just confused that with Beverly. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's nothing coming off of Kinderkamak. There's only going to be soil brought on a clean clay cap, and that is going to be, I am sorry, 213 yards. You are correct.
Okay.
I've got 66 Beverly and Kinderkamak.
So Kinderkamak is 213 cubic yards.
Correct.
66 Beverly.
Is 17. This is coming out, right? So a total of
What's coming out, coming in? It's the combined. Of
combined 40.
Okay. All right. So then 70 Beverly Road would be have 140.
You are correct.
Okay. And then 74 Beverly is 150.
You are correct.
Okay. So just so the board's aware, so the total volume for all four properties is 543, and that's inclusive of what's going out and what's coming in.
Correct.
The combined total for that. Now, as far as the operations, I guess, can you just walk us through, like, how deep are the excavations going to be on the property?
Very shallow, 2 feet.
Okay. Okay. So obviously, no shoring or anything is required for that depth, but you'll follow whatever state requirements and OSHA requirements as far as that.
Absolutely. There'll be a health and safety plan in place.
So you will have that. And
Absolutely.
I guess a copy will be provided to the borough for
Absolutely.
the records.
Can sure do that.
Thank you for that. Now, as far as the trucking side of it, have you guys come up with a plan on?
Yes.
Okay, can you walk us through that a little bit so we're aware?
So what's going to happen is we're going to remove all the soils from the commercial side, from the 66 Kinderkamak. We will have, some of the excavation is so small and tight, it's going to be done by hand. Some are done, we're moving a couple of garages. We're working inside one garage. Some of the work will be done by hand. The fencing will be coming down. We'll be working between a retaining wall and an existing garage. I think it's 3 or 4 feet wide. That'll be done by hand. Then that material is going to be staged on 66 Kinderkamak. It'll be staged there, and that's where the loadout will be. So everything will be brought onto that property, staged, loaded out into triaxle trucks for disposal.
Okay. Now, as far as when you guys looking to truck the material out, will that be over, I'm assuming that's going to be over a number of days?
It'll probably be, so we're looking at, it's probably going to be about 15 to 20 triaxle trucks. I would think that's going to be done over 2 days. We usually do them 2 turns a day. Each truck holds about 22 tons. Everything will come in and out of Kinderkamak Road. There'll be a tracking pad. That property is already surrounded by temporary fencing, so it'll be secure.
Okay. Any open excavations at the end of each working day?
Nothing significant. I mean, we're talking about 2 feet. I would think that, you know, it would probably be left over. We're going to be working from 66 to 70 to 74, working from one piece of property to the other. All of the soils will come out. We already took down a couple of trees. One other tree needs to come down. It needs to come down by a professional because it's a little tall. That tree will come down, and then the soils will be taken out sequentially from 66 to 70 to 74, and then clean certified fill, which will be certified clean. All right, will be brought back onto the properties, compacted, topsoil, seeded, and then we'll do the plantings again. There'll be bushes and shrubs and trees returned.
Okay. And as far as the operations, that's all being done under your direction as the LSRP?
Absolutely.
And like you had indicated, at the end of this, you'll be issuing the RAO.
Correct.
Which basically means that the properties have a clean bill of health.
Right. They have been remediated in accordance with all applicable rules, regulations, and guidance, right?
Okay. As far as changes in grades to any of the properties, everything will be put back to existing?
Right. The 3 residential properties will be replaced in kind. Everything we put back, trees, paver blocks, fencing. The Kinderkamak side, so there is going to be an institutional and an engineering control. It's about 7,000 square feet. I also need a soil erosion and sediment control plan I've just become aware of. I already spoke with Mr. Caruso at the Bergen County Soil Conservation District. He's going to get that this week. He told me he can probably turn that around in 30 days. My hope is that I can leave here with approval for the residential property so I can start working on that. And then within 30 days, when I get the soil erosion sediment control plan, I will do the work on the Kinderkamak property. The job's going to be about 7 or 8 weeks. I'm hoping I could start next week with the residential properties because I want to be in a position to be able to do the plantings, you know, in late May, so I can take advantage of the, you know, advantageous weather. I don't want to do this in June and July and have everything burn up on me.
Okay. Now, as far as the material from the residential properties, I understand you're sending it, you're going to stockpile it on 66 Kinderkamak.
Correct?
Will you be tracking anything on the roadway, or how do you plan on everything?
No, everything will stay on the properties. Trucks will come in, Kinderkamak, and leave Kinderkamak.
Okay.
Across the tracking pad.
Okay. Fair enough. I think you answered the majority of the questions I have. I have no further questions, Chairman.
Steve?
Yeah, in regards to the residential properties, it says on your plan, separate permits. Is that the borough permits also?
Yeah, the borough permits are the ones that are all separate. So we have a separate permit applications for each piece of property. And I believe there were some questions also that were posed to us by Neglia that a colleague of mine answered. I don't know if he sent it to you. I have them right here, and they're signed by me. So I can provide this to you.
As far as the garages, you have 2 garages.
Right.
So are you going to be moving the garages?
No. There's one, I think the center property, 74, has a small shed-type garage. That's going to be moved, physically moved, and then put back. The other ones on 66 and 74, no soil excavation is occurring within 66, just around it. So that building, that structure is going to stay in place. There's a small section of soil that's coming out within 74. We are going to be taking that out, and we're going to be replacing that entire slab inside that garage as well as her driveway. We're only taking out a small section of soil in her driveway.
I can see that up there.
Yeah, but it's all, we're replacing the concrete slab in the garage and the driveway.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Good. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Giblin?
No.
Members of the board, any questions?
I just had a question about if all the materials are coming out of 66, what would the purpose of the smaller wheel cleaning blanket be off of Argyle Street? Looks like it's one of the driveways for the...
Small
74.
wheel cleaning blanket.
It's up on the board. Top right?
Yeah.
Top right, I'm sorry.
Right, yeah.
Excuse me. Wheel cleaning blanket. Driveway? Sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. Yeah, can you point to that?
Right here.
It says 2 minutes driveway.
There's a call out to the right that says
wheel
proposed
cleaning
wheel
blanket,
cleaning
I'm sorry.
blanket.
I think possibly my engineer might have thought that there was gonna be some soil loadout over there. I might be mistaken. They might have anticipated taking the soils out from the garage from that way, because we do have access to that street. Because I know that the 2 properties on the left, we're gonna have a machine that's gonna reach over, there's a retaining wall there. So the soils are gonna be brought up because it's easier to remove the soils that way, and we don't have to track back and forth across all 3 properties. So I might have been mistaken. We might be planning on removing some soils just from that property on that side. So let me correct my statement. Maybe some soils are coming out over there.
So in addition to the restoration of the subject property, anything in the boroughs right away that's affected by this will be restored as
Yeah,
well, correct?
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So tonight you were asked to approve the residential lots for soil moving and then not necessarily 66 Kindercomack?
Well, we don't have the soil erosion sediment control plan in place. If you would approve it, that would be great.
So let me just jump in. So I mean, the Bergen County Soil Conservation District permit, that's separate and independent of how the board acts.
Right.
Your action tonight would be for all 4 properties, for the soil movement on there. The approval can be conditioned upon them, obviously obtaining
Yeah.
any and all.
Right.
It'll be subject to that in the resolution.
I see.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
The question I have then regarding capping the 66 Kindercomack Road property, digging down 2 feet and then covering it with clay, that all makes sense if the condition of the property remains the same. But what if the property's developed and they're going to put in a basement or footings that are going to go down further than 2 feet?
Right.
What happens at that point?
That would be up to them. If they want to remove the soils,
Right.
they can do so. They can break into that engineering control and they can remove those soils. They can leave the cap in place. How we're going to leave it is we're just going to move, the site right now is kind of capped with stone. It's one of the reasons why I didn't think we needed the soil erosion sediment control plan, because we weren't moving soils. But after speaking with Mr. Caruso, because we're bringing the clay in, he said the plan was required. So we're going to move the stone out of the way. We're going to put down a foot of clay. We're going to compact it. Then we're going to put the stone back on top of it. So it's going to look just like it is. All right. It might be a little bit mounted a little bit higher, I would think. But we're going to grade it out, make sure that there's no issues with water runoff or anything like that. If someone comes onto and once I issue the permit, so it's going to have an engineering control, it's going to have a remedial action permit through the NJDEP, there'll be a deed notice that's put in place. Anybody that purchased the property will obviously be well aware of that, and there are rules and regulations for breaking into an engineering control, and it'll be laid out in the deed notice. If they want to remediate the property, and remove all those soils, they can, to remove that institutional engineering control. Once you put a permit in place, it's reported on every 2 years to the NJDEP. It's called a biannual certification. Someone needs to inspect the property, making sure the engineering control is in place, and then the biannual certification report is submitted to the department and the township every 2 years, in perpetuity.
Okay. So the purpose of my question was, if we approve this and the project goes forward and there's a cap, that's not a permanent solution that someone else doesn't have to worry about. It's going to be an ongoing solution that they're going to have to address. And so, we're not giving, for instance, by our approval tonight, a blank check to any type of development on 66.
Nope.
They're still going to have to abide by, you mentioned the D notice and all of that recertification if they touch that.
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah. What I'm proposing here has nothing to do with development, it just has to do with the remediation.
Yes, I know. I just, I didn't know if it was like a one-time event that once it's done, it's forgotten.
No, that's the whole idea between the remedial action permit prior to this new program, that they enacted in 2009, the Site Remediation Reform Act. They used to put these things in place and they were forgotten. That's why they have this permit process. You got to pay a fee every year, you got to inspect it every year and report on it every 2 years,
Okay.
as long as it's in place.
Just add on that. So as far as the residential properties, though, those are being cleaned 100%.
100%.
All materials being removed. There'll be no further
No
anything
further.
that needs to be done with those particular properties.
Nope, clean. All of the contamination is being removed to the lowest standard, the most restrictive standard, which is 0.2 parts per billion. 0.25, I'm sorry.
I have a question. On 66 Kinderkamak, do you know how much contaminated soil is still there?
Yep, we do.
And can that filter through in time?
No, PCBs are not really mobile. That's one of the reasons why you can cap them. They're not soluble. They don't mobilize. We'll also be evaluating groundwater too, just to make sure that, this will all be in a remedial action report. So when this is all done, a remedial action report gets written, gets certified by me, gets submitted to the state. We don't provide you with a copy as a rule, but we can. And all of these documents now are obtainable, downloadable from the department. There are some soils that remain in place on the commercial property. I think up to 10 parts per billion. A million. That is the standard, the federal standard. As I said, PCBs are regulated. It's a TSCA contaminant, so it's regulated by the feds and New Jersey. They both have standards. The state having the most restrictive standards. The EPA allows you to leave 1 part per million is their most restrictive standard. The NJDP is 0.25. So it's actually lower. The state standard is lower. The residential properties are being remediated to the most restrictive state standard. The commercial property is being remediated down to 10 parts per million, which is what's called a high occupancy standard that allows it to be capped. So it's like a commercial standard. So it's in accordance with the self-implementing plan we submitted to the US EPA. So everything is being done in accordance to both the federal and state regulations.
Now, is that contaminated area what is highlighted with the line fencing up on the screen?
Yes, that area there that says proposed limit of capping, yes.
So that whole area, there is contamination still in there?
Yes, and it's not, those are where we have the delineation samples, so those are the samples that we've delineated to, and that's what we're capping to, but that is the area in which the contamination remains, correct.
Would you be involved if a project comes before the 66 Kinderkamak?
Possibly, not necessarily, though. The developer can come in with their own LSRP, and they can remediate the property.
Okay.
I am the LSRP for the site, so I'm registered for the site. But once I issue the response action outcome, I don't necessarily need to be the LSRP any longer. Someone else could come in, purchase the property, and either maintain the engineering control, augment the engineering control. If they wanted to augment the engineering control, they needed to report it to the NJDEP. That's all laid out in the deed notice. You need to report to the department. And then, if they want to remove the soils to the most restrictive standard, like I'm doing on the residential properties, they can.
I said two final questions. On the stockpile of the excavated material, is there a time frame that you envision it sitting on site before it's trucked off?
A week, couple weeks. Once we get enough stockpile there to warrant a series of trucks, we try to do it all in one shot. It's not a lot of soil, but so once we get all the soil up, once we get all the soil out of the ground, we'll get rid of all the contaminated soils. The restoration is going to take some time.
Okay, and then you mentioned that this was spread through drainage that
Yeah, what we-
infiltrated the residential properties?
Yeah, so if you...
So my only question is in the stockpile, is there any kind of protective measure that's
Absolutely.
required while it's on
Yeah,
site?
it's going to have a liner. It'll be on polyethylene. There'll be soil erosion and sediment control features in place, hay bales or silt fencing, something along those lines. That'll be, they're already, I think, depicted on this plan or part of the township applications, but now there's going to be a subsequent soil erosion and sediment control plan through the county. So those controls will be laid out in that also.
And I have a very fickle question. Is there any reason you wouldn't swap the piles where you'd have the clean stuff where there is no contamination, but keep the contaminated pile where it is contaminated?
I'm sorry, would I swap the piles?
Show the two locations of your stockpiles. Excavated material that's contaminated, which is on the left. The one on the right is the clean incoming material.
Oh, okay. No, we wouldn't swap them. No. I mean, I think we just depicted in there just to demonstrate that, what's going to happen is we're not going to have trucks come in and dump clean soil on there's just not access into the residential properties. So for those two properties on the left, 66 and 70, all the material is going to leave and be placed back on the properties from 66 Kindercamac.
Right.
So, no, we're not going to... Oh, you mean change the two locations?
Yeah, my question was, instead of having the contaminated pile in front of areas that are not already contaminated and having the clean fill in front of the
No,
contaminated
the
area.
contaminated will be on the left near the tracking pad because the machine will sit next to that pile and load the trucks that are on that tracking pad. So the left side, I can't even read it, but I'm sure that's the contaminated pile. We won't be switching them, no.
Okay.
And as I said, they'll be on poly. They'll be covered at the end of the night in case it rains. We do this all the time. So we secure the piles. We don't leave them unsecured.
Things happen, though.
No,
right?
they do. Hurricanes come up, poly gets blown away. Absolutely.
But this work won't be done during hurricane season, will it?
Hopefully not. That's why I'm here.
So I had a quick question. The residents have been notified and they're all in I'm sure they're happy that this is being done, but I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
all notifications, and has any record been provided to the borough that everything is fine in terms of the residents?
I haven't received anything.
No, but they're tickled pink. All right, so I've met with them. We've walked the properties. We've already told them, what we're going to do, how we're going to be replacing their trees. We told them there was a little bit of delay. We weren't really aware that this needed to go before the board, so we were all geared up to be working this week. But no,
You were
they're-
able to give my office those plans, so if there's some discrepancy, we have something in writing or a diagram of what you're doing to those residential properties?
the plans.
To bring it back to original state?
The only thing, we only have it specified in a proposal. Like we have drawings that are part of the remedial plans that show what's going to be removed. So I can give you that. If you want to see, I have a plan that'll show you.
Give us that, and also give us something on what you spoke about to the property owners in regards to bringing it back to original
Yeah,
state.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We're putting things back. Like we're not. Initially, we even contemplated reusing some of the paver blocks. We're taking them all out. We're putting in new. The small area in the garage was not even 20% of the actual square footage of the garage floor. We're taking it all out. We're putting in new. The driveway, maybe 30%. Whole driveway's coming out, new driveway's coming in. And we've even given them guarantees of there's some roots sticking up on the driveway. The driveway's got, roots sticking through it. It could have an effect on an adjacent pine tree. If that pine tree dies, we'll be replacing the pine tree. We've also, we've given the property owner assurances that would happen also.
Okay, thank you. So just from a timing standpoint, we can decision on the application tonight, but we don't approve the resolution until our next meeting.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the implications if the applicant were to begin work next week, subject to our decision tonight?
I would want them to sign off on an agreement, like to hold harmless, because there's a chance that somebody could appeal this.
Right.
That they understand that it's at their own risk.
Okay. I think your mic's not on. I got the sign, so sorry.
At our own risk, so.
At your risk, yeah. If you wanted to start before the board were to adopt the resolution at next month's meeting, it would be up to the board to decide if you could do that, and then you would have to agree that if there were to be an appeal and it were to be successful, you would take everything out at your own cost. You're doing everything at your risk.
No. So it's being open to public comment, right? So if someone would object to us.
Whether they object tonight or not, they're going to have an opportunity to appeal this approval for 45 days.
45 days? Yeah.
After we approve the
After it's
resolution.
approved, right.
So 45 days after next month's meeting.
So it gets adopted next month, and then there's a 40, so we're talking 2.5 months, right?
Correct.
All right. I don't think that's gonna, I
So,
don't think my company's going to
Okay.
agree to hold for me to do the job at risk, so.
that's why I just wanted to go over the timeline
Okay.
with you. Are there any more questions from members of the board?
Well, you know what, maybe the client, let me run this past the client.
Sure.
Right? I'll run it past the client, if she wants to agree to hold us harmless.
Just make sure you let Mr. Giblin know. Any other questions?
No.
So I will open it up to the public.
Good evening, Paul Latounis, 50 Beverly Road. On the notification, I didn't receive any notification. Do we have to have a notification of 200 feet before anything is going on this?
No.
No.
No? Okay,
None of that I know.
thank you. On the depth, you said you're going down to 2 feet. Do you have the, when you did the testing, did you do the testing or somebody else did?
We did.
You did.
Well, a combination. There was another consultant, but yeah, we did the testing ourselves and a prior consultant. We have the data, absolutely.
Okay, so on the data, how deep is the contamination?
It's about, on the residential properties, it is from 1 to 1.5 feet. That's why we're going down 2 feet. We have clean soils from 16 to 24 inches. Data. I'm also going to be taking confirmatory samples. It's part of the US EPA self-implementing plan. I need to take samples on, I believe it's 40-foot centers. So when we start doing the excavation work, we're going to take confirmatory samples, and that will be part of a remedial action report that will be submitted to the township and the state of New Jersey that you have access to.
So in other words, you'll be checking as you're digging. You'll if you still see contamination, will you dig lower?
Absolutely.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other thing is how far on each lot. In other words, from the property line to the homes. How much? I don't know if I should say space, or how much part of the lot is contaminated?
I would have to say,
It's indicated up on the...
up on the streams, 25 to 30% of the combined lots. It's probably the back third of each lot. Some have a little bit more than others, but for all intents and purposes, the back third of each lot along the shared property boundary with 66 Kinderkamak.
Okay. Also, I know that you're not going that deep,
Right.
so you probably won't be using bentonite.
No, bentonite is usually placed in monitoring wells, when you seal off.
Lower lows,
I'm sorry?
much deeper.
Well, you mean bentonite to backfill the holes?
Bentonite to stop the flow from.
No, we're not even going into
Leakage.
ground. Yeah, we're not going into groundwater. We're not going that deep. It's very shallow.
Well, I know that because of the groundwater, but I do know that we do have groundwater there. It comes down off of the hills and it comes down underneath.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's how that stuff leached over to these people's homes.
Yeah, it did come from surface runoff, right? There were drainage lines within the retaining wall, and we hypothesized that through surface runoff, through those drainage pipes, is how it made its way to the residential properties. PCBs are not soluble and not mobile, so they really only move with soils. You know, so if they're moving with granulars, with granule soil over surface runoff, that's how they kind of get mobile. But they don't dissolve into groundwater that readily, and they don't move that way.
When you say PCPs, there's a lot of, I read the original first testing that they did, because I got a notification, because I live near there. I live right adjacent to that property.
Yeah, that was part of what's called a receptor evaluation. And that is what you're referring to, 200 feet around the property. That's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
That's a DEP requirement.
But the types of PCBs, there were very many different,
Yeah, there's many different hour chlors. You're correct.
benzene and all kinds of stuff.
No, benzene is associated with fuels. Benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylenes are part of gasoline. There were some other areas of concern on the site that have been remediated. The 66 Kinderkamak, I think there was a fuel oil tank that was remediated. That has all been taken care of. Right now, this is only focused on the PCBs. In the final report, everything will be addressed. A lot of times when you're remediating a site, there are different areas of concerns. There might be a tank, there might be a drum storage area that gets remediated, cleaned up, and reported on, but not until everything is done, until you write the response action outcome letter, which is the final document that I certify as a licensed site remediation professional, and then all the documentation that supports that RAO gets submitted to the department if it hasn't been submitted already. And all of that information is accessible. Now it's easily downloadable from the department too. It's all electronic.
Well, I know that there was kerosene and there was benzene there.
Yeah, could be.
Also. And that, 1936, that was a gas station. It was a Texaco gas station. And after that, Pastelli Ford got it, and then became Subaru.
Right?
So there was a lot of different
Activities?
people involved with this. Now, I'm very excited that it's going to be done and clear up the neighborhood there.
Okay.
Because it's been quite a while, and I was wondering when it was going to be done, and the problem was involved with the new construction that they wanted to do.
Right.
And then they didn't want to do it until it was going to be approved, and then now they finally realized they have to get it done before they do anything anyway, right?
Yeah, there were some various different plans that I really wasn't, I was privy to them, but I wasn't the one that was intimately involved with them. I know that the remediation was stalled because of financing, but it was acquired through another avenue. That's why everything's in place right now, and we're ready to go.
So you are hired from the contractor, right?
I am hired from the property owner, the responsible party who owns the property.
You're hired from Pastelli?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I was told something else.
Okay.
Okay, there is a contractor, it's under contract. That piece of property is under contract.
The commercial property?
Yeah,
I tell you the truth, I don't even know that, so.
no, it is. It is. So it's, they're the ones that are doing it, not Pastelli.
No, I'm contracted with Lynn Pastelli. Lynn Pastelli's doing it. I talk with her.
So, Latunas, I would ask that you are asking questions of the
Yes.
application based on his testimony. And
Okay,
try to refrain from commentary. Thank you.
So you're telling me that Lynn Pastelli
Yes.
is paying you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Once again, that wasn't part of the applicant's testimony, so
Okay.
please keep your questions pertinent to
Okay.
the testimony.
All right. I noticed that 2 trees were removed. One was pretty big,
Yeah.
another one. Is that going to affect our tree ordinance, Mr. Carnival?
It's in the engineer's letter that any tree removal must be compliant with our borough ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing a project, they need to, a tree permit and either restore or,
Yeah, everything's going to be restored. The trees are going to be restored. We've already talked with all the residents. We're going to actually let them, it's going to be a tree of their choosing.
Now, on the major property that's there, on the corner of Argyle and Kinderkamak Road, there's a real big tree there.
Okay.
Are you going to have anything to do with that?
Not that I'm aware of.
project doesn't affect that.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul. Any other members of the public wish to speak or ask questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. Mr. Chairman, unless there are any other questions from the members of the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve calendar number S-161-25, subject to any conditions and requirements coming from our attorney, engineer, or construction official. And if the applicant decides that they do want to move forward before the 45-day period following the resolution, that a hold harmless would be signed.
Okay.
Can I hear a second?
Steve, roll call?
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Councilman Carnaval?
Yes.
Mayor Koth?
Yes.
Mr. Scalzione?
Yes.
Mr. Darian?
Yes.
Mr. Flegging?
Yes.
Thank you and good luck with the project.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, that's all we have under subdivision site drainage and soil moving for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Carnaval. We'll move on to regional planning and coordination. Mayor Koch.
We have signage, Chairman,
We have signage, but Mr. Kang is not here today, so.
and is
Oh.
Mr. Darian?
Yeah, I'm on the
Oh,
committee.
you're going to give a report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had one application at 285 Kindercamack Road, which will be the new location for the UPS store, and we approved the, after some back and forth, we've approved the signage.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Regional planning and coordination, Mayor Koch.
Nothing to report other than the borough continues to work on its master plan reexamination, which I'm sure Mr. Darian will speak about, and advancing our the goalposts towards completing our fair share housing element plan.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing to report under zoning. Master plan, open space, environmental, and circulation systems, Greg Darian.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have just last week received our first draft of the reexamination report from our consultant, and we've gone through individually. Some of the subcommittee members have gone through the draft and have made some notes, and we're in the process of scheduling another subcommittee meeting within the next week or two, preferably within the next week, so that we can continue to work with the document. I mean, at this point, there's a lot to it, so there's going to be probably 3 or 4 iterative meetings with our planner before we can get to the stage where we can share the initial draft document with the rest of the board. But we're trying to work through that as quickly as possible because we know that we're really coming up on the June deadline, and I believe that is the deadline for ordinances. So we need to be done before that, at least a month or 2. So we really have to...
Well, we don't technically have to approve the ordinances by the 30th. We just have to have the housing plan in place and the associated ordinances put together, but I think we have more time to actually formally approve those ordinances, if I understand.
I think the ordinances are due, I don't see the timeline in front of me, but my recollection is it's August.
Right.
Oh, good.
So,
Good. So I was really stressed about that. I wake up a lot of times at 4 o'clock in the morning and have trouble sleeping. So we're moving forward as quickly as possible on that, and I'll be meeting with the subcommittee members afterwards just to zero in on the next meeting time. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Historical preservations, Mr. Carnaval.
Just wanted to report that we're continuing to advance our efforts to apply for grants for the renovation, the eventual renovation of the train station, and everything remains on plan.
Thank you. Old business?
I have something. Does the board want to look at soil moving applications and increase the cubic, the footage in regards to coming before the board?
What subcommittee would handle that?
I I think we did that already. We
We
made it.
did it already. Dave gave information in regards to other municipalities, and, you know, it was all presented to the board. I guess I can get copies and resubmit it to the board again.
When was that,
Last
Steve?
year, year
Yeah.
before.
It was last year.
Was it last year?
I don't remember
Might have been 2 years ago.
getting it.
Really?
I think it was the year
I think
before,
it was
'cause I
the year
don't remember.
To the chairman.
Yeah.
It was 500 cubic feet, right? Or something of
I'm
that.
looking for more, I think.
I think it was 400 or 500 was
Yeah.
the threshold somewhere.
Can you circulate the report?
Yeah. But I don't think we formally presented it to the mayor and council.
Oh,
Which
is
is
that
what we
where
would
we
need to
kinda
do,
fell
so the
down?
mayor and council can take it up for consideration as far as an ordinance change.
So at the time, the board approved it and
I think we-
recommended giving
we
it to the mayor?
agreed.
Recommended the mayor and council take a look at it?
There was no formal recommendation made to the mayor and council.
Correct.
Right. So that's the next step that we have to take.
All right, so let's circulate it and we'll put it on the agenda for next month.
I have a question under new/old business. We have, I've been getting an email about cybersecurity that we have to do.
Yes, it's a online class you can take. You need to take. Board members need to take it, and then you get a certification at the end of the class.
Is
I
this
think it's like 20 minutes or something like that.
is this the same one that we had to do several years ago? Is the same format? Do you know?
Same format. They ask questions. They help you through the question if you don't get it right.
Could Gabby send the link or something out to the board? Because I haven't gotten any of those.
I did it. It's a recurring.
Is
I
that
think it's like probably on a biennial basis.
It's actually a good training module. It's 2 30-minute sessions, so
Oh, it's only an hour?
it's an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, can you send me? a
Yeah,
copy of
I'll
that?
send you
Onto-
my email.
I had brought up at the last meeting, although we didn't discuss it, the idea of starting the meetings a little earlier than 7:30. So I wanted just to open it up for discussion whether, say, a 6:30 start would work for everybody.
Well, the way they're coming in now, the board members, it might be a little bit tight. People now working at home, it's a good possibility. You can make it at 6:30. I don't know whether,
I can't make it at 6:30.
yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know about the professionals, but
How about
it's
7?
been looked at before, and there might be an issue getting everybody here, getting a quorum.
How about 7? Half an hour early. Brian?
I mean, I might have to send somebody here, you know, on the chance that I'm not going to be done in time. I have the Paramus Mayor and Council meeting starts at 6. It's usually done by 7. It's a 6-minute ride, so.
It's just that, those nights that we have all those applications, just goes on and on. Any comments from the board?
I would always just want to make sure that the public has the opportunity to attend in case they want to speak on any of the applications that we're hearing.
So 4 p.m. is not going to work.
4 p.m. will not work.
Okay, well, I guess we'll keep it at 7:30.
Try next month.
And I'll bring it up under old business next month, okay? Any new business? Hearing no new business, I'll open it up to the public.
Well, it's in this 50 Beverly Road. Congratulations and kudos to the planning board. Your minutes are now up to date. And this hasn't been done in years. So
There's always a video, so if anybody wanted to take a look at it, the video is a recorded of the meeting, and if anybody needs to look at it, that's probably a better way to go.
Okay, as far as
That's always been up. Nick has gotten it to us that couple of days after.
As far as DMR Architects that did the survey, I asked the question last time, what did it cost us? Does anybody know?
No, I don't know.
5,000, 10,000? We don't know. So I have to put an Oprah in.
We'll send you the bill if you want.
Yeah. I didn't ask for it. You did. Maybe you should get the bill. Anyway. I'm happy about the soil moving thing tonight. And this has been quite a while. We've been waiting for this to happen. And the way that the lawyers of the previous project intermingled it with the project, and then we separated it, and they realized it. So I'm happy that this is being done, and it's going to be good for the neighborhood. One little thing I'm worried about is the place where they're going to put the contaminated soil that you brought up, Mayor. They said they're going to put something down on the bottom. Well, who's going to check that out besides me? Because they might just dump the soil there and nobody knows. And we don't know if it's underneath. Okay. Because I happen to live in the neighborhood, so that's why I see everything. Okay, the other stuff that I have is, I did talk about this at the mayor and council meeting. And as far as the planning board, and what is the planning board doing about the projected amount of new units and population density that's going to occur. We don't know exactly how much, but we have to do some planning because we're going to have to expand our school. OPS is really crowded the way it is right now, right, Greg? Yeah, so we got to do something there. Maybe we should be looking into buying some homes and seeing if we could set up a K through 3 on one side of a block and then have the rest of the classes in the regular building. You might want to think about that. Bring it up at the Board of Education meeting. I think we should be looking at that. And also about the traffic on Kinderkamak Road and Oradell Avenue. What can we do? Now, today I went by there because I had to go to the post office, and a train came by. And Eileen, you're right. When the train came, it passed Oradell Avenue, but the gates stayed down. And the gates could have been up, and the traffic could have gone. So is anybody involved in planning with the train people? Why are the gates still down when the train passed the gates and passed Oradell Avenue? That could alleviate part of the problem. Okay, that's that. Now, I know that you guys are volunteers, and I commend you for that. But I expect you to do work here and think of the residents besides the developer. And the number one priority should be the residents. That shouldn't be the developer, it should be the residents when you're making your decisions. And I'm going to be looking forward to that. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Eileen Jones, good evening. Just quick, as far as the train goes, there must be some kind of ordinance where they have to have the bars down so many feet from where the train stops and there's a road, an intersection or a road that the train goes over. I would think that they probably have some kind of regulation. It's got to be so many feet, which I have no idea what it is. But that was just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam Tripsis, 327 Maple Avenue. I just have two questions on two applications. I don't know if I should ask the zoning officer here or at the building department, but is the Trap Hagen application, is that coming up so shortly? Is it deemed complete?
It was deemed complete, I believe.
I'll jump in. So the application was deemed incomplete at this point.
Okay.
So there's some items that they need to submit to the borough. Once they've satisfied those items, then it'll be deemed complete, and then it can be scheduled to be heard at the appropriate board.
Okay, so that's a good answer. Thank you. Second, the Bank of America application, has that been filed with the, it has? With
I'm sorry, what was that?
the Bank of America application that's going to come now before
Coming
the,
back to the planning board.
have they filed it yet? Or
We haven't received any new documents.
you haven't? Okay. Are you requiring them to do a zoning permit because they didn't do a zoning permit the first time with the zoning board?
They're not required to do a zoning review. State regulation, and he felt that he didn't want to do it, so
Okay.
can't mandate that he does.
I see. Well, one of the negatives of that is that if you wanted to file an Oprah request to see the plans, you can't. But if you did the zoning,
No, once the application is in, once the board has received it, then it's open to the public.
it is. Oh, well, thought there was something different there. Okay, well, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close public and ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night. Consider